ChatGPT has recommended a divorce multiple times.
Right, yeah.
We don't want ChatGPT to be our friend. We don't want Claude to be our friend. AI has automated my business, and this solo guy or woman has AI agents and they just made like $1 million.
Will AI take my job?
I don't want like another repeat of social media where we realize too late what is the impact on our kids.
Hello and welcome back to Dream with Dr. Sheen. I'm Sheen, your host, and today I have a very special guest. We actually have a returning guest. We have Shweta Scott, who is my best friend, but also the new Claude AI expert in the UAE. And we're here to dissect how you can make the most out of Claude and also just what we're doing wrong, because I know I've been doing a lot of wrong things here. So, hi, Shweta.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
Are you excited?
So excited to be back.
Yeah, so I won't go back into your history. People can go watch our first episode that we've done on that. But we'll start off light. Tell us what you're doing right now.
So I help people understand AI, right? We're in a world where AI has become such a hype word. Mm-hmm. Everybody wants to automate their lives. Companies want to adopt AI, and I help make this technology a bit more accessible for executives, founders, women.
But you see, as you said, we hear about AI all the time, right? I think it's the catchphrase. And even I teach AI at the university. But do you think people are using it enough, or are we using it too much? Like, what is the balance right now?
I think it really, there are some people that are using it a lot. There are people that are trying to use it, but maybe don't understand the best way to use it. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people I see that I work with are very used to working with ChatGPT, for example, right?
Me too.
So we have these legacy ChatGPT users that are used to having one chat per topic.
Yep.
And these chats are very long. And when then they try to move over to Claude, they do the same thing. But that is not the optimal way to use AI now, right? People are also trying to perfect their prompts to AI. Prompting matters less and less in today's world. What matters is the context you give it, the access to files you give it. And so the way that we use AI is changing because the technology is changing, but a lot of people are still maybe stuck in the old ways a bit.
Yeah, that's me. I relate hardcore with that. But I think I'm not going to ask you what AI is, but I think I would love to unpack a little bit. Obviously, we all have access to all these platforms, the intelligence platforms. But how does one go about choosing, first of all, which one would be my platform? Is there a right way?
I think it depends on what you do, right? Right now, the kind of popular platforms are Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini.
Yeah.
And how you think about using these platforms is, think about if you heard somebody graduated from a certain college, right? If somebody graduated from Caltech, they're more on the technical side. Somebody went to a liberal arts college, they're more liberal arts focused. That is how you think about each of these platforms, right? Claude is the more technical one. It's better at data processing. It's better at Excel analysis. Gemini is very good at image generation. ChatGPT, I prefer for my socials, my caption. It's more creative.
Yeah.
So different platforms have different strengths, and it changes when new models come out. So the way to kind of think about it is use the right model for the task. Do not ask Claude to generate an image for you. Do not ask ChatGPT to do financial analysis.
But you see, it's already overwhelming, right? Because when you think about it, it's first there's so many platforms, each of them are good for one thing. They keep upgrading the platforms and the models, right?
The time,
so then it's now I need to change what I'm learning. But now for someone who is very, very new to the world of using AI to simplify their life, it can be very intimidating. And I think this is why we're trying today to try and demystify that a little bit and help people who are more at the beginning of that journey. Because as you were telling me on the way here, is that there is no avoiding it, right? We need to get on board if you want to not be left behind. But let's start with So as you know, I'm an avid user of ChatGPT. I absolutely love it. ChatGPT was my first employee and my best friend for a very long time. But now you're helping me transition to Claude. But for someone who has been using ChatGPT for a while, what are the first, let's say, 3 steps to migrate to Claude?
Okay. The first thing anybody needs to do, and I hope we talk about this more in depth later, is change your privacy setting. That is absolutely the first thing you need to do. Any platform, ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude. If you're on a personal plan, by default, these models are training on your data, which means that any input you're giving it, any document you're uploading it, that goes straight to the parent company, and the model is getting smarter on this information. You want to switch that off. So the first thing we did for you when you moved over to Claude was turn off your privacy setting. We also did it for ChatGPT, which you didn't realize was switched on for several years.
I still didn't know until you just said it now. Okay.
And so the second thing we want to do is develop context, right? And this context is not necessarily only applicable to Claude, but it is a system that you develop that'll help you when you use any AI platform. Okay. So you build a document. Who are you? What are your goals? What are you doing for work? How do you like to work? How do you write previous writing samples that you've developed? For you, you know, something that's really prevalent because you are such a social presence is like your beliefs and like what are your values. And this document, you can essentially point any AI platform at. So instead of prompting Claude from the beginning of saying, my name is Sheen, I'm an extremely successful entrepreneur and podcast host, and these are my values and these are my goals, and help me figure this problem out, you essentially just upload this doc and say, here's the context about me. This is what I'm working on. You know, find the solution.
So just one time sit and do it.
Yeah, and the document is important, right? This is how you're giving AI context. You can point Claude to it. You can point ChatGPT to it. You can point Gemini to it. But you're not sitting there like repeating yourself in these prompts over and over again. And then it is your responsibility to keep this document updated. But if you don't give any AI platform this document, it's essentially similar to how you would onboard an employee, right? Without giving them the information they need to succeed. It's like stopping a stranger on the street and asking them, do this job for me. But they have no context. They don't know what company they're in. They don't know what their role is. And that is what essentially would happen if you start working with Claude but don't give it any information about who you are.
Right.
So that's the second thing you do.
Wait, could we create a template and give people access to this template for free?
We have a template and we can share this with your viewers.
Okay, perfect. So we'll put it in the description box and people can build out their context. Amazing. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, number 3.
And so number 3 that I would like everybody to try today is they need to use the little microphone on Claude or download an app called Whisperflow, which is amazing.
I love Whisperflow.
And open Claude, start dictating. So use your voice, don't type anything, and just brain dump into AI. What's stressing you out? Are you feeling overwhelmed? Like, what are all the little things that are swimming in your head? Put that all to AI and ask AI to make a list. Ask Claude to triage your task list. Ask Claude to plan your week, you know, and have Claude do the work of like taking over your cognitive load and lessening it. And I think that is one use case where AI is so powerful, especially for women. Women are doing a lot. We have a lot to do at home. We have a lot to do at work. If you're moms, you're also managing kids. And AI is such a useful tool in like reducing your mental load. So start using it for that, you know, just talk to Claude like you would voice note my sister, you know, like voice note your friend and complain about all the things going on in your life and have Claude start making sense of it. Let it tell you what is a priority this week, what stuff should fall off your plate, what do you have time for, what don't you have time for. And even just this exercise of like removing it from your head onto an AI it'll just bring you relief, you know? And like this is, I feel like what AI should do as a tool it should lessen the load of your mind.
I was just thinking the whole time when you were saying this, because, I remember when you made me sit there and just speak to Claude, right, on Whisper Flow. And I just told it all about the business, and you wanted it to figure out where it can automate things for me.
Yeah.
And because I had been procrastinating moving things on Claude because I didn't know what to give to Claude. And immediately it gave us, was it like 12 automations that it can do for us? And I was like, wow, that's so easy.
That's great.
Okay. Because I think we get so stuck in thinking, I need to know what to do. But now on that point, how can people figure out, obviously I did it by asking Claude, but what's a way of figuring out what you can even use Claude for?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I think the answer to this is just being open and being curious, right? There's no perfect answer. Everybody's day looks so different. Everybody's workflow is so different. Everybody's business is so different. Keep trying to offload stuff to Claude. And I don't mean like find a perfect prompt to ask it, right? I mean, give it a task. Like think about something you do that drains you, that you don't enjoy doing. For me, like when it comes to the house, I hate meal planning. Like you could not pay me enough to enjoy this. I don't, happy and like kudos for all the chefs out there, but it is the worst thing in the world, meal planning. I do 0% of my meal planning now.
Wow.
I've offloaded it completely to Claude. Automatically, Friday night at 6 p.m., it plans my meals. It plans my kids' meals. It plans my husband's meal. It sends me a PDF. I forward that to my nanny who's doing the cooking, and she cooks it. And I'm not involved in this process at all, and that's great.
Yeah.
That is what works for me.
Of course. But how long did it take you to create that system for yourself?
And here's the part that not a lot of people talk about. With AI, I think there are all these hype headlines of AI has automated my business, and this solo guy or woman has like a company of AI agents and they just made like $1 million. And
or like I blew up my social media account with AI.
Yeah, Claude got me 300,000 followers in a week. And all of that could be true. First of all, we will use our judgment and discernment when we see these headlines, but it could be true. But what people don't talk about enough is the process to get there, right? And the process to get there involves iterations and misses, and the process is a bit painful, and maybe you're not clear on what the output should be, so the model is not getting it right. Or maybe the chat is too bloated with context and it's getting dumber and dumber, and you run out of tokens, and like the model is not right for the job you want to do. The process is not always easy, right? Even in the simple example of me automating a meal plan, like it took me weeks to get there.
Of course.
Right? It took me weeks for the food suggestions to be right and catered to my family. And it took me weeks for the automation to come at the right time and in a format that was good for my family, and like easy to read by my nanny. And it takes weeks of iteration and giving it feedback and telling it what it's getting right and telling it what it's getting wrong. And more importantly, not giving up. Right? Which a lot of people have this like idealized vision of what AI can do, and it should be painless and automated and seamless. And so they try it once and they're like, oh, that didn't happen for me immediately, so I'm going to stop trying. And that is a big thing that I want people to overcome, is keep going, iterating. It's going to be painful, but eventually you'll get better and better and better, and you'll get there.
It's frustrating. I completely relate with that, because I remember I was trying to build this PDF on Claude and it spat out something. And I was like, okay, there are some issues. Let me fix those. It spat out new issues.
Yeah.
And we went through this cycle for like 5 times. And I was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
This thing is dumb. I can't do it. Where's intelligent?
I mean, I have to say, so I work one-on-one with the business owners, right? And I help them automate and improve their personal productivity or workflows in their business. And I have gotten messages from my clients at like 2:30 in the morning who are building an investor pitch deck or an investor update deck. And they're sending me screenshots of like these random things that Claude is telling them that have no bearing on the task whatsoever. And it looks like it's just like glitching out, you know? And that is part of the process, right? There's something wrong, or the chat's gotten corrupted, or they're using a really long chat or the wrong model. And it's part of the process. It's painful and it's frustrating, but it's part of the process. So we will try to do it better next time.
Yeah.
We'll open a new chat. We'll give it smaller tasks. We'll use Fable while it's out. All of these different things we can try, but the important part is to not let that frustration like stop you from getting to the end result.
Yeah, and I think it's such an important point because I think we all think, oh, AI is going to make my life easy.
Yeah.
So let me get on it. And then you start to think, oh, I don't even know what to do. It's not really working, blah, blah. We leave it. But I'm really glad you touched on the point that even for a task as simple as creating your meal plan, it took you weeks of building that and teaching the AI. And obviously you know how to do it and it still took you that long. So I think the main message here is be patient with it, right?
Yeah. And I think it's like when I say it took me weeks, like it gave me an output within minutes, right? But that output was maybe 70% of the way there. And then every Friday I would iterate and give it more feedback and give it more feedback. But like, actually, my daughter doesn't like this. She prefers this. My husband likes to eat this. I'm not a big fan of this. We want to see more of X, Y, Z. And so that iteration process happened over several weeks. And then eventually there was one Friday automation that entered my inbox and it was perfect. No notes, right? And that is what you want.
Yeah.
But it'll take you time to get there. And so, yes, be patient and don't give up.
Yeah.
And just always be curious and always try to make it better.
Okay. But, now I want to go back to one point you mentioned earlier, which was about privacy, right? And I remember the first day when we were working on my Claude, then when we gave it access to my calendar. And then you told me, no, don't give it the access. Every time when it asks you, just says allow once. I was like, oh, there's so many levels of the privacy here. So I didn't know that. And as you mentioned, I didn't know ChatGPT as well. All my privacies were not good. So what should people be looking out for?
So I think if you are an individual, just know that by default, these products are taking your data, right? And be mindful of what you are uploading to them or giving them access to. And these are maybe two separate things, but I always think that, whenever I talk to clients about these privacy settings or I give workshops and the first thing I do is always go over the privacy settings, nobody knows these. Like they don't know they exist. So I think having a general awareness of like, currently by default, if you're an individual plan, you're giving them all of your information. If you're not comfortable with that, you have something in your power to switch it off. That also doesn't mean you're fully protected. It just means that the model is not training on your data, but they still retain it. I think, Anthropic, the default is like 30 days. They keep your data and then they delete it. It is much worse if you are a business owner. If you are a business owner, there is a high chance that your employees are using AI.
Yeah.
If you don't have a well-defined AI policy, at the very least, if you haven't sent out a memo to your employees about what type of data they can upload, what type of data they should never upload, what software they should never use, what software is okay to use, that they should never upload, financial information about your company linked to their personal account, you should assume that your employees are doing this. I know many instances of business owners that I have worked with that have, gone and done research after I've explained this to them and have found that their employees are uploading like proprietary information linked to their personal account with no privacy settings turned on, right? So the absence of a AI policy for your company is disaster. At the very least, tell your employees what is confidential data, how should they be using it, that they should not be uploading it. If you are a business owner and you also have a presence in Europe, you are subject to GDPR laws. And if you have an employee that's using a personal account and uploading customer information to Claude or ChatGPT or Gemini, you as a business owner are liable for the GDPR fines. It is not allowed. And your GDPR fines are massive.
Yeah, I've heard.
And so every business owner I talk to before I give a workshop or do some corporate training on how to use Claude or ChatGPT or Gemini, you can see just jaws drop in the room because they don't know about
None
this.
of them knew, yeah.
And so the first kind of thing is be aware of like what data you're uploading, who is training on it, who is retaining it, and like what are the different accounts available to you that give you the data protection you need. The second thing is like what everyone should think about, whether you're a business owner or not, is AI models work so well when you give them access to your calendar, to your email. But everybody is susceptible to a data leak, right? What is the information that you are comfortable giving AI access to that could potentially leak? Or that AI could have too much access to? Like I have a old Gmail account, right? I've had it since I was in high school. It has way too much information about me, my credit cards.
It's the whole history on that.
Passport, like who I've dated, everything. Nobody needs to know this, right? And so we don't give Claude access to this account. We give Claude access to a recent account that I've made exclusively for work. But if I need Claude to remember like school pickups or something like that, I have it auto-forwarded from my personal Gmail to my work. So it's about how you filter this data, right? And think about the type of data that it would be useful for AI to have and how do you give it with guardrails in place. So
again, we don't want to overwhelm people, but I think because I remember when you told me that, do you want to create a new email for this? I was like, oh my God, not another email. But I think at the end of the day, it's about knowledge, right? Take back your power in the sense of know what your data is being used for. Then you can make your decision based on that. So educate yourself on what does privacy mean in the AI world and how you can protect yourself. Then you make your decision based on your sensitivities.
Yeah, and it is everybody's judgment, right? Like I've worked with women who like are fine with Claude having access to this information. They give passport info, Emirates ID info. And why is it useful? Because Claude is filling out forms for them left and right, and that is worth it for them. For me, it's a very different level of risk tolerance, right? Like I don't want my passport info, Emirates ID info like available. And so it is up to everybody's judgment. The important part is just know what your data, where your data is going, what data you're giving it, where it's being used, how it's being retained, all of this. If you're moving from ChatGPT to Claude, because it is so frequent now that Claude makes it really easy for you to import all your memory from ChatGPT or any other provider to go into Claude. So in your settings, Claude even gives you the prompt that you can paste into ChatGPT to extract all the information, like who you are, how you like to write, like what are your big milestones that you've used ChatGPT for, and then you can add it to Claude's memory, so you're not starting from scratch.
See, it's even easier now. So we've figured that out. We've talked about privacy, which is number one before you set up anything. Now, in terms of after all of this is done, let's say I'm going to go with like the generic persona of who's in the audience, okay? Like it's a woman in her 30s, has a business, has a family, has herself to look after as well. How does she figure out, we talked about how you can do a brain dump and Claude can tell you where to automate and stuff, but how does she figure out where her level of expertise is with AI and where she needs help? How does she train herself? How does she learn? What's a good way of approaching that?
I think this can apply to whatever level you're at, right? Like if you're just AI curious, haven't yet gotten started, want to get started. If you've automated some stuff, but you don't have any real repeatable workflows. It doesn't matter what level you're at. Wherever you are, try to take it one step further. So if you're starting, a great place to be is a great exercise to try is the brain dump one, right? If you're using AI for some repeatable tasks, script writing, presentation making, try automating it. If you're already automating something, try, what would an agent look like for you? If you have an agent, what does it look like running a loop and having it work towards a goal? So actually something that I've done is created an AI quiz.
Okay.
So it helps people understand like what level of AI they're at, and then sends them some ideas of exercises they can try.
Oh.
It's all free. And so they
Can we link that as well in the description? Yes, thank you.
We'll link that, which is giving so much value.
And I need to try that as well. Okay.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter what level you are. It'll help recommend some next steps for you to do, right? Because I think a lot of people, there's so much information about AI out there. They just don't know what is the next thing they can do, right? So this is supposed to address that.
Okay, so this quiz is just you go in to figure out what level
are you at?
AI knowledge you're at, and then based on that, they'll get help, basically.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing.
A few next things to try, prompts you can use, how do you build a context document, stuff like that.
So, all right, this is useful. But let's say, obviously, I haven't done the quiz, but I've done the quiz in person. And I know that what level I'm at. Let's just say I have one task I want to now automate on Claude. And one of the things that takes a lot of my time is figuring out a title for YouTube video. So let's just say this podcast episode right now, I want to figure out a way that every time Claude can just every week tell me my title for my YouTube videos. How would I go about creating that?
Okay, so this feels like a good example for a Claude skill. A Claude skill is essentially, think about a task that you repeat several times a week or month. And instead of typing the same prompt, Claude, again and again and again, which you must be doing with, to get the YouTube title, you're just making that a skill. So a skill is essentially like a phrase you type to Claude. So for example, get me the title for this video. And then what are the steps it needs to take to come up with the result? So how do you find your titles now?
So obviously I know what the main theme of the episode is. I'll go on YouTube, I'll look for similar things. If the guest is a guest that usually goes on podcasts, see what the conversation is usually titled, what performs well in that topic, do a little bit of research, and then I use those to create my own. Okay,
and you have past titles that have worked well, that you know what good looks like. So you can create a skill where essentially it tells Claude to ask you what the guest name is. Once you respond, it will go and do that research for you every time. It can come back and have its research ready. It can then propose new titles, and you will tell it, like, here's what a good title is, here's what a bad title is. Good looks like, XYZ because this is what makes it good. And the output of this is like giving you 4 or 5 recommended titles with one recommendation and why, and one backup and why, and here's everything that didn't make the list. And that is something you can do, right? And so it's a very easy thing to do. It requires no technical background whatsoever. You can just start talking to Claude and say, I want to use your skill creator skill to build a skill around YouTube titles. Ask me questions. And that's how you do it. And it'll start asking you questions. Be like, okay, what is your current process? You describe it. You give it more information. You tell it the output. What does good look like? And then anytime you say, help me create this title, it'll go through this process without you having to prompt it.
Okay. Now, this sounds really easy, but I've asked you this question before, and I think a lot of people have this question. On Claude, you have projects, and then you have the chats, and then you have skills. Can you explain to us how these are different from each other, and what do you use each for?
Yeah, projects is essentially, so chat is easiest, right? This is where everyone starts. Think about like one-off requests. Like I had a question the other day about sleep schedules for my daughter. It's not something I ask Claude a lot, but it's a one-off thing. I use the chat. Project is where you can share context across chats, right? So everything I do for my AI training business lives in one project. It has, my past quotes that I've sent to clients, training documents, presentations I've made, and every chat in this will essentially read this shared context and then respond to me. Skills are just like repeatable workflows. So an example of a skill is I tell Claude to plan my day. It knows to pull from my Gmail, pull from my my meeting notes, pull from my Notion tracker, pull my calendar, and then give me an itemized list of like what's most important for me to work on. So those are 3 different use cases of what you do. Ideally, most of your work that is repeatable and needs like knowledge of who you are and your work and stuff lives in projects. Everything that's one-off, chats. And skills lives across all of your chats, projects, whatever. It's just repeated workflows.
This was going to be my next question. How do they overlap with each other? So basically, a skill is just kind of like permanent knowledge that you've given to Claude to apply it to anywhere you ask.
Yeah,
right?
so if I say plan my day, if I'm within a project, it'll do the same thing. If I'm in a chat, it'll do the same thing. So skill is like universal across your account.
Yeah. But then, for example, just the chats, the project won't be able to read that.
Yeah, the project is essentially like a filing system for your chats,
so this is just a filing system.
Yeah, and the memory is essentially shared within the projects.
But not outside of it.
Yeah.
So 2 projects won't communicate with each other.
They can if you link them in co-work.
Oh my God, she's making it difficult. Let's not get to co-work yet.
Okay.
But what is co-work?
Co-work is essentially like the agentic side of Claude. Think about like co-work is where Claude does the work for you. I essentially in co-work can give Claude access to my local files, have it create documents. It can like manage the memory for me. It can manage those documents for me. It can go to my Chrome browser, read my Instagram analytics, give me a report. It can essentially do work on my behalf. I can have automated tasks running. I can't do that in chats or projects.
Okay.
Now, there are projects within co-work that you can just link to projects in chat.
Okay.
But the reverse is not true.
Okay. Okay. So I guess co-work is more advanced level.
It's not necessarily more advanced, but think about Claude Code is really where a lot of magic happens, right? People can build agents. These agents are doing work on your behalf, but it is built for developers. It's built for people with technical knowledge. Co-work is essentially the bridge between chats and code, but the audience is non-technical people. So it's very easy to automate a task in co-work. It's very easy to ask Claude to do work on your behalf. And then chats is for the kind of normal, how you use AI for one-off things.
Yeah. So co-work is almost like those platforms like Squarespace to build a website where you don't need to know how to code to build a website, but it's there to try and help you.
Ish, yeah.
I was very proud of that analogy.
You did very good.
I think that's cleared up a lot of the basics. I think everyone has the tools and the knowledge they need to get started. So thank you on that. But when we talk about AI, so obviously at Middlesex, I teach the future of AI. So almost the ethics and legal side of it.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think all the legislators are constantly running to make sure that they know what to do and how to properly protect it. But one question I always get from the students is and it's really funny because the general concept is that AI is making the younger generation softer, right? Which I kind of agree with. Because, I've had students that submit assignments with the prompt.
Oh, gosh.
Included. And they don't even know how to write an email without AI. They even write WhatsApp messages with AI, which is crazy. But at the same time, they are learning at this young age. So it's very useful for them, right? Because they will be way better than the older generations who are now trying to learn it. But they are scared because what does the workplace look like? We have even people our age who are constantly worried. What is going to happen to my job and am I going to be needed? Is my job becoming redundant? Like the other day, my friend who is also a podcaster told me that now Claude is editing her full podcast episode for her. So that means that tomorrow we might not need an editor anymore. That job's become completely redundant. So then around this conversation of, will AI take my job? What do you have to say?
So I think possibly, right? But what I believe to be true is that AI is not going to take your job, but somebody who uses AI will, right? And we're seeing this today. Like there was this famous company, ClickUp, right? It's a product project management software company.
Yeah.
And, the CEO tweeted and said that they had one of their best quarters in terms of revenue. And at the same time, they're reducing their workforce by 22%. And why is that, right? That is because they are reallocating these savings to reward people who can 100x their impact using AI. Like they want to increase the salary bands of these like AI superstars to $1 million. And essentially, what does that tell us, right? That tells us that people who start leveraging AI in a way that's going to amplify their impact are going to be rewarded. And if we stay afraid of this impact of technology, we're going to be left behind. And so I don't think the right mindset is AI going to replace me? But it's, what can I give AI that I don't enjoy doing? What can AI do for me that will give me the power of a small team? AI single-handedly like allowed me to come back to work after having a baby. I believe in this technology, right? And I think without AI, like I would not be able to run a business.
Yeah.
I would not be able to answer all these emails and like, have all my like social media scripts written and stuff. Like I just don't have the time. But AI allows me to have that time. And I think there is magic in this technology, and we're living at such an unprecedented time that I really want people, but especially women, to like be curious about this technology and try to embrace it and see what it can do for them.
But when you say especially women, do you see fear in the adoption of AI?
I think, I've seen this for me, right? Like women tend to be slightly more risk averse, right? I've seen this with clients that I talk to as well. And I work with so many smart, incredible, talented women that like have been rewarded for working hard. They've been rewarded for like slogging and like proving themselves above everybody else. And AI feels like cheating in a way, right? It feels like taking a shortcut. Like if I didn't write the doc myself, like should I even put my name on it? At the same time, like women in the workforce, with all of these like gender dynamics at play, they don't want to be seen taking the easy way out. Right? And so there is a bit of like, we are seeing women adopt this technology slower than men.
Yeah.
And I think that is a missed opportunity, especially for women. I think AI is such an amazing answer to the mental load. Like, let us offload meal planning and schedules and doctor reminders and all of this stuff that's like eating our brains to AI and spend more time doing the work we love with our families, raising our kids, like all of these things, and allow, like peace and joy to come back and like offload the stuff that we find draining to technology.
And also offloading to technology comes at such a lower cost in terms of emotional, mental, all of that, because you don't have to deal with employees, right?
Yeah.
This is not a human with emotions. This is just tech.
Yeah. And, I have 4 agents that help me run my business.
Yeah.
It's a dream. It is a dream. So easy to just, like everybody's got their own lane. Everybody's firing off their own tasks. There's a Discord chat where everybody's like managing each other's work. It's just beautiful. Like there's no like payrolls to deal with. And I understand like, AI can replace jobs, and that is scary, but it will also create opportunities, right? And if we are curious and like open to the technology, it can create opportunities for us. And like, it doesn't have to be this world where people are getting left behind. And I think there's a lot of like doom and gloom about the technology, and people are worried about how it's going to impact them. But at the same time, it can also do something great, and I think not enough attention is paid to the great part.
I agree. And I think, this whole thing about, I'm sure you've seen the statistics. I don't remember which year, is it like 2030 or something, where 70% of the jobs in the market then have not been created yet today. But see, that's a scary headline if you read it. But at the same time, the job that I do today did not exist when I was in school.
Yeah.
The job you do today did not exist when you were in school. So it's like, it's always happened.
Yeah.
That's just how the world progresses, especially with technology. And that's happening a little bit faster. But we just need to adapt, right? And that's the whole point. And I think the message to young students who are in university at the moment is just what you can learn is skills, right? Don't learn a job. Just learn a skill, learn AI, learn how to be adaptable, learn how to constantly keep learning. And I think that makes you resilient and makes you adaptable.
Like, I think about the fact a lot that my daughter is going to grow up in a world with AI, right? And what does that mean to a child? And like, how does that change the education system? And there's all this research about screens being bad, but then should we raise her in a world where she doesn't know AI exists? And there are all these questions and there's new technologies. Like I saw this ad the other day for a stuffed toy aimed at toddlers that has like an AI microchip built in where AI can talk to your child. That seems outrageous to me. But, you know, I think as parents, you can either be afraid of the technology and not understand it. And I think that is what a lot of people did with social media. And we're now learning all of the damage it can have on kids, right?
Yes.
Or you can embrace the technology and understand it enough to personally decide, like, what are the guardrails of it for your child, right? And I really want moms especially to, like, understand the tech, know its like potentials, but also know the damage it can do. Like, we're seeing people use ChatGPT as therapists. We want to explain to our kids like how to use AI well and what not to use it for, right? Like, what do you not ever talk to AI about? Like your personal feelings, and that's not a real human, and like what is the meaning of human connection? And this is the kind of stuff that you can't know until you're using the tech and seeing like where it can steer you and what are the questions that you can ask and what are the types of answers it gives you. And so we have to keep interacting with the technology to understand like where is the danger zone that you don't want your kids in, you know? And I don't want like another repeat of social media where we realize too late what is the impact on our kids.
Yeah, you know, literally now the platforms I'm coming out with, under 15s are not allowed on social media. It's late.
It's late.
Very late.
It's late.
Right? A lot of these kids have grown on social media. Now they're adults.
Yeah.
And now we're bringing this law, but at least it's happening now.
Yeah.
But I think with AI, I'm glad you mentioned this thing because I forgot I wanted to talk about this, which is people using ChatGPT as a therapist.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen literally one of my friends sit with ChatGPT and talk about this issue she's having with a boy and then ask ChatGPT to guide her whether this is good or bad. And she thought that this was better because it's an impartial third party.
Is it?
Is it?
No.
Right.
It's not. AI is not impartial, right? They've done all this research on models where they measure the sycophancy of AI, which is how much AI agrees with you. And it is a very high number, right? Like if I talk to AI and be like, oh, I had a fight with my husband and this is my perspective, AI will be like, you're absolutely right. You should divorce him. You know? Like ChatGPT has recommended a divorce multiple times.
Right, yeah.
And that is because they will always agree with your perspective, right? I use Claude occasionally when I have a fight with my husband, but it is for pattern recognition.
Right.
So I will ask him, like, here's the fight I'm having. You know, this is what's happened recently. Here's my perspective. What could I have done better? You know, like, what are the patterns emerging from the way I communicate?
Yeah.
I don't ask it, am I right?
So this is data analysis rather than
because I think
emotions.
Models do well at pattern recognition. Can they, like, emotionally soothe you? No. Can they tell you what love is? No. Can they explain to you the value of love in your life? No. Like, we have these models that are training on like billions of texts and they understand language. And Yeah, like you have an LLM that can write poetry because it's trained on like hundreds of years of poetry and it can talk to you about love. Does it understand it? No. So who are you taking advice from? Right? And like we have to really think about that.
Because the thing is, you're right, but it makes that person feel like they are, right? And people are in their vulnerable moment and they love to hear someone being like, I literally read that chat and he said, ChatGPT said like, let me hold your hand when I tell you this.
It's validating.
Right. So then obviously you feel like, oh, okay. And because we're so,
Yeah, there is this like false sense of a bond,
yes,
between you and your AI chat.
Yeah.
And I hear this from women that attend my workshops. And they're like, oh, ChatGPT is such a good friend. We don't want ChatGPT to be our friend. We don't want Claude to be our friend.
No.
Like, this is a tool for you to do work or offload tasks or, like help you make decisions.
Yeah. It's almost like an employee.
Yeah, like you do not want to veer into the area of it being friend.
Yes.
Because your friend is someone that you share a human connection with. It goes beyond like empty words and it goes beyond like language that an LLM can write. There's something like utterly human about like the relationship between you. Like you and I, when we became friends, it was like
instant.
Like we met each other for the first time. Yeah. We had no intro to each other. No. We started talking and we were like, okay, great. We're going to hang out like every day from now until whatever. And that is not something that you can replace by an LLM, you know? And so I think it's very easy. And I understand why people respond to like the validation that they get from an LLM, but it is a language model. It is designed to say the words you wanted to say, but it's not necessarily improving your life or adding value.
Yeah. I wish my friend would say things I want to hear. But on that note, I think we've covered everything from the careers, the emotions, getting started, your privacy, everything. What would be your parting message to anyone who's watching now feeling very excited about the possibility of using Claude? What would be your final message to them?
There is a lot of potential of what AI can do, right? You don't need to know every bit of its potential to get started. Just get started. Ask Claude to help you figure out like what to automate. Ask Claude to help you figure out like what tasks you can give it. And then there is also this like idealized version of AI, right? And it's not necessarily going to be that from the get-go. So don't give up. Keep going. Try to figure out how AI will fit into your life and the version of the life that you want to build, but don't necessarily build your life around AI. And don't try to do that either.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for being here. And will you tell people where they can find you if they want to ask any more questions?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram. My handle is Shweta Scott.
Okay, that's it.
Is there something else? What else?
Okay, that's it. Well, thank you so much.
I never watched that part of your episodes, where at the end, where like, I should stop by this time. What do people say?
Wow. This is your friends for you. This is why people are becoming friends with ChatGPT.
Friends keep you humble. You need to be humble.
Yeah, you're the rock to my balloon.
No, I'm the needle.
Okay, on that note, thank you for being here. And maybe we'll do a next session on the new AI or whatever comes out.
Yeah.
If you enjoyed this episode, let me know what you think in the comments on YouTube or on Spotify. Your feedback means a lot. Follow for more inspiring conversations, and I'll see you in the next episode.